Okay, so coming up soon, next month, we will have another MAPS test. It'll be our final MAPS test. So today I just want to go through some ideas that will help you in the MAPS testing. We're going to talk through fractions, decimals, and square roots today. I want to talk about the decimal place value chart. This is something we learned way back when. It's also something you learned way back in elementary school. But let's say that I have the number 23.49. Guys, what place would the 2 be in? The tens place. What about the 23? Where's the 3 at? The ones place. The tenths, what number's in the tenths? 4. And what number's in the hundreds? 9. So just be reminded, the number that comes right after the decimal point is the what place? The tenths place. The number that comes 2 times after the decimal point is the hundreds place. Right now, if you would, on your boards, I want you to write the answer for this. What decimal is equivalent to the fraction 8/10? All right, according to what we just talked about, if I had 25.42, guys, which one is the tenths place?
4.
The 4 is, okay? So it's the number right after the decimal point. What I asked here is 8/10. Think about it. This is the tenths place, right? So that would be called 8/10. If you don't automatically know that, you could always do 8 divided by 10. Remember, we can put a decimal point and as many zeros as we want. A 10 cannot go into an 8. Can a 10 go into an 80? How many times? 8. 8 times 10? 80. Okay, so if you look right there, the answer is 0.8. Okay, so the same idea here, guys. What decimal is equivalent or equal to 5/10? What'd you say? 0.5 is correct. Okay, the next one, I feel like we're on a roll. Guys, what's the decimal equal to 3/10? 0.3, because once again, that is the tenths place. All right, so this next one's a little bit different. It says, what is 5/8 in decimal form? You cannot just do it because there's nothing down in the denominator that says it is the tenths. So instead, guys, what do we know a fraction bar means? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide? It means to divide. So you're simply going to take the numerator and divide it by the denominator. Remember, put a decimal point. In our class, we like to put 1, 2, 3 circles. You can put more, you could put less. All right, so as I was looking at you guys do the work a few minutes ago, a lot of you did 8 divided by 5. Remember, this is not how it should look. It should look like this. It's 5 divided by 8. Always put the numerator first. So guys, how many times can an 8 go into a 5? 0 times. So now instead we are looking at how many times can an 8 go into a 50? 6 times 8? 50 minus 48. 2. If your work doesn't look like this on your desk, I need you to fix it for me. Is the 2 smaller than the 8?
Yes.
Bring down a 0. How many times can 8 go into 20?
2.
2 times 8? 20 minus 16. 4. Is the 4 smaller than the 8?
Yes.
So bring down. How many times can 8 go into 40? What's 5 times 8? 40 minus 40? Remember, whenever you get to a 0 on the bottom, that makes us happy because it means we are finished. So the correct answer is 0.625. All right, so this one is very similar. Instead of 5/8, now we have 3/8. Try to think of how we just did the problem a minute ago. Okay, so let's think how we did this before. What did I do before, guys? We divide. Okay, so what number goes first? 3 divided by 8. I'm going to put my decimal point and 3 zeros. Here's where some people messed up. They forgot to bring the decimal point up at the very beginning. Okay? Can an 8 go into a 3? No, so it goes in 0 times. Can an 8 go into a 30?
Yes.
How many times? 3 times 8? 30 minus 24. 6. Bring down that 0. How many times can 8 go into 60?
7.
7 times 8?
56.
56. 60 minus 56?
4.
4. Bring down the 0. How many times can an 8 go into a 40? 5 times. 5 times 8?
40.
Remember, when you get to the 0, then you are finished. So my final answer is 0.375. We've got the same idea one more time. What is 2/9 as a decimal or in decimal form? Okay, how do I do this one? Divide. 2 divided by 9. Remember, just add as many zeros as you want. We like to do 3. I'm going to bring my decimal point up. Can a 9 go into a 2? No. Can a 9 go into a 20? How many times? 2 times 9?
18.
20 minus 18. Bring down the 0. How many times can 9 go into 20?
2.
2 times 9?
18.
20 minus 18? How many times can a 9 go into 20?
2.
Do you guys notice a pattern?
Yes.
We're going to keep noticing a pattern and it's going to keep going. So guys, what's the answer? Okay, a lot of people said 0.22 repeating. What number is repeating over and over again? 2. So I just need to put 0.2 repeating as my answer. All right, so this one is asking you what decimal is equivalent to the fraction 15/100. Try to think about that place value that we talked about at the beginning. Okay, so guys, what do you think the answer to this is? Okay, 0.15. Most people said 0.15. Let's just think about this real quick. What place is the ones in? That is in the tenths place. So guys, what place is that 5 in? That's in the hundreds. So according to that right there, you could tell that has to be 15/100. I had some people who tried to tell me that it was 0.015. Remind me again, guys, what place is the 0 in? The tenths. What place is the 1 in? The hundreds. What place is the 5 in? Thousands. So if that was the way you wrote it, this would be 15 thousandths, which we don't want, okay? So the correct answer is going to be this over here, 0.15 or 1500ths. All right, you guys did that one really quick. What decimal is equivalent to the fraction 27/100? 0.27. Very good. Okay, guys, what decimal is equivalent to the fraction 6/10? 0.6, because that is the tenths place. Okay, so how many of you are looking at this and saying, I do not know what that is? Okay, so this is why, this is a concept you need to know for our MAPS test that's coming up in April. What is the value of, we would call this a square what? Root, okay, so a square root. Basically, I want you to think of x, I'm going to say it like this, a number that's squared
God bless you.
that equals 9. Can you guys think of a number that you can square that would equal 9? 3. So I could say 3 squared equals 9. So basically what a square root is, it's doing the opposite. It's saying what number times itself equals 9. So what would the answer be? The correct answer here would be 3. Okay, I just tried to explain this concept. It says, what's the value of the square root of 100? You are trying to think about what number multiplied by itself equals 100. A lot of you guys just told me 50. But guys, 50 times 50 would be 250. So if I asked you for the square root of 250, that would be 50. But I asked you for the square root of 100. What number times itself equals 100, class? 10. So the correct answer should have been 10. Okay, so in this case, you really want to know your times table. Guys, what number times itself equals 36? 6, because 6 times 6 is 36. So the square root of 36 would be 6. Okay, what's the square root of 81? 9, because 9 times 9 equals 81. Okay. Right now we're doing the square root of 16. I had a lot of people write 8. But guys, 8 times 8 is 64. So what should the answer be? Because 4 times 4 equals 16. All right, square root of 49 is? 7, because 7 times 7 is 49. Okay, now we're going to go back to really a lot of elementary concepts, okay? So on the MAPS test, there's a lot of portions you can't use a calculator. I want you to make sure you haven't forgotten the basics that you learned in elementary school. 0 times 5, what is it?
0.
0. 6 times 5?
30.
30. So the correct answer would be 300. Okay, same idea once again. 50 times 3. If you don't know how to count by 50s, you can multiply it out just like that. The answer is 150. Okay, so once again, we've got 23 times 6. 6 times 3 is?
30.
18. 2 times 6 is? Plus 1?
13.
13. The answer is? 138. All right, the final problem we're going to do today is 324 times 468. Okay, so we're going to start by multiplying that blue 8. 4 times 8 is 32. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 3 is 19. And 3 times 8 is 24. All right, now that we're finished with these, you can cancel them out. We're going to move on to the next one. It's in the tens place, so I'm going to put a little 0 as a placeholder right there. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 on bottom, 2 on top. 2 times 6 is 12, plus 2 is 14. 3 times 6 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Now we're done with those. We're going to move on to multiplying the hundreds place, which is that green 4. So there's nothing here in the ones or the tens, so I just put zeros as placeholders. 4 times 4 is 16. Carry the 1. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. So now you're just going to add up all those numbers. We get 2, 13, okay, listen, just kidding. I made one mistake right here. When I was multiplying the 3 times the 8, 24, I forgot to add the 1, which would have been 25. So that actually should be a 5. Sorry about that. 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 4 is 10, plus 6 is 16. And then 3 plus 9 is 12, plus 9, 21. 2 plus 1 is 4, plus 2 is 5. And then bring down that 1. Don't forget your comma. So our answer is 151,632. Okay? Hopefully that was a good review for you today and that helped a little bit for some of the concepts you will need to know for your MAPS test.